5 veterans who were serving on Senator Kyrsten Sinema's advisory council have stepped down from their posts after it turned out that Senator Sinema was a massive disappointment. These are individuals who had supported her, individuals who were working for her, but she has completely turned her backs on them and of course her own constituents. The veterans took Sinema to task for her refusal to abolish the filibuster and her opposition to parts of Mr. Biden's multi-trillion-dollar social safety net, education, climate, and tax plan, stances that have stymied some of his top priorities. So one of the individuals who signed on to this letter and also stepped down was featured in an ad against Sinema, and I want to show you what that looked like. This is Sylvia Gonzalez Andres.
Dear Senator Sinema, as members of your Veterans Advisory Council, we feel as though we are being used as window dressing for your own image and not to provide counsel on what's best for Arizonans. You've repeatedly ignored our feedback, urging you to act on 3 issues that support our veterans and protect the heart of our nation. We must protect voting rights by passing the Freedom to Vote Act. We are appalled by your failure to address this issue. You campaigned on lowering prescription drug prices, but now you're opposing the Build Back Better Act. Are you choosing to answer to big donors rather than Arizonans? You were a no-show on the vote to establish a commission to investigate the insurrection. These are not the actions of a maverick. As such, we respectfully resign from your Veterans Advisory Council. Sincerely, Sylvia Gonzalez Anders.
David Lucier.
Rick Peters. Terry Arabic.
Dana Allman.
Call on Senator Sinema to support the Build Back Better Act now.
I love that. Now, the letter that the veterans signed also said the following: you have become one of the principal obstacles to progress, answering to big donors rather than your own people. We shouldn't have to buy representation from you, and your failure to stand by your people and see their urgent needs is alarming.
Yeah, you know, I feel pretty good about one thing, and it's pretty significant. When we started talking about the donor money 20 years ago on TYT, everybody thought we were, in media, thought we were nuts. The viewers always believed in listeners, and I don't mean progressive viewers. Americans of all sorts have for a long time, over 90% have thought the donors were corrupting politicians, but we couldn't break through. There was a corporate media wall, and so they would never ever discuss it. The wall's breaking, and so corporate media, tear down that wall. Okay, and so it's leaking everywhere. You know, veterans who supported are talking about donors. Progressive media is talking about donors nonstop. Ryan Grimm goes on MSNBC, talks to Chris Hayes about it. All of a sudden, AOC's talking about donors. Jamal Bowman's talking about the donors. They're on CNN. All of a sudden, water's coming in from everywhere, and eventually, corporate media is going to have to go. All right, donors exist. All right, and maybe they affect the votes. Like, for you guys and for us, it's been the most obvious thing for 20 years. And by the way, I started Wolfpack 10 years ago. 10 years ago, because I was like, well, we can't get anything done. Because all they ever do is listen to the donors. If you don't get the money out, this is gonna happen. This, Sinema and Manchin.
Well, this is a good opportunity to tell people who might not know about Wolfpack what it is and what it's trying to accomplish, because there are efforts to get money out of politics. I think Wolfpack has the right strategy, although it is honestly the most challenging strategy, but it's the strategy that actually has lasting power.
Yeah, so that's the conventional wisdom, and I don't blame you for thinking that, but I actually think it's as hard as it is, it's the easiest strategy, the most doable strategy. So what is it? So I studied all of this legislation and why it failed for all the time that we were on the air for 10 straight years, and realized there's only one issue that decides everything else, and it's money. And so, well, if you want to get money out of politics, you have to basically go above the Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court has said in Citizens United and in other cases, no, corporations are human beings. They have unlimited free speech rights to talk to politicians, and they talk with money. And I'm not joking. Those are actual decisions by the Supreme Court. So the only way you can go above the Supreme Court is to change the Constitution. So how are you gonna amend the Constitution, which by the way, the founding fathers loved? They did it 10 times, 12 times actually, okay? And so you're supposed to amend the Constitution. Now all the media says, don't that's radical, don't amend the Constitution. The founding fathers did. They wrote the Constitution and then amended it, right? So the problem is you can't do it through Congress because Congress got into power through corruption. That's why later I helped start Justice Democrats, because we needed some honest politicians that didn't take corporate donor money. All right, now the other way though is in the Constitution. It's amazing. You don't have to go to Washington at all. If you just get 2/3 of the states to call for a convention, you could propose an amendment. No matter what, 3/4 of the states have to ratify it. That's why Anna says it's hard. Of course it's hard. But even if Congress proposed it, 3/4 of the states would have to ratify. But it's been done 27 times before. It's not like it can't be done. And it's much easier to go to the state level where now Republicans are super mad about elections and Democrats are super mad about the way elections are funded. You get a convention, you propose these amendments. The elites hate it, but because it's the only realistic path to get the damn money out of politics so that Manchin and Sinema and by the way, every Republican that are helping the corporate donors right now can stop. So go to wolf-pac.com to learn more. If you want to support them or volunteer, wolf-pac.com/go. It's their 10th anniversary just now, so there's a perfect time to participate and help. But one last thing, guys, it's a wonderful group of people. None of them are politicians, none of them are lobbyists. They're like literally nurses and mechanics, etc. It's the most wonderful group of patriots you'll ever see, and it's nonpartisan. Go check it out so we can actually regain our democracy. We've already won in 5 states, we can do this.
And just quickly going back to this story about the veterans on the advisory council stepping down. The one other thing that gives me hope is that there is a lot better messaging coming out of activist groups. And I think that they're a lot more vocal, and just the ads that I'm seeing, to be honest with you, remind me of Republican ads. Republican ads don't hold back. They're pretty vicious and they attack pretty aggressively. For the longest time, at least as long as I've been doing the show, you see like this timid behavior on the left. But now it's like, no, we've got the resources necessary, we've got the messaging necessary, we're gonna put out these ads, we're gonna slap them in the face real hard until we get change. And that makes me happy. Like I'm seeing organizing now, both in regard to activists and on the labor side of things. That's giving me a little bit of optimism, and I'm not a very optimistic person. So
no, there's definitely optimism with labor movements, etc. Last thing is, speaking of veterans, the first Republican to ever give a speech in favor of Wolfpack was in Vermont. And it was a state legislator who said, my son went to Iraq and died. My son didn't lose his life for freedom so that we could lose it over here. We're not going to be ruled by corporations. We're going to be ruled by the people. That was a Republican in Vermont. Vermont was the first state to pass it. And like I said, 4 others did it too. If you want to help, we'll put a link down in the description box, which you should always check for links. wolf-pac.com/go. There are a lot of great ways to watch the Young Turks, but is there a best way? Of course, the best way is to watch live. Tune in weekdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. You get our uncensored, unapologetic version of the news that you won't get anywhere else. Watch us live.